Last day I taught you how to draw a woman's face, and today we're going to learn how to draw a man's face. So just like in the woman's face, we have to start off with an egg shape. So either carefully do one freehand, or you can use the template I gave you last day and you can trace it out. But it's very important that you do the egg shape perfect and symmetrical, because all the measurements we do later on rely on whether or not you did the egg shape correctly. And so if your egg shape is weird looking, your face will be weird looking as well. Go back to the notes if you forgot how we organize the template. But basically, just quickly, it requires that you draw a line right down the middle, and then measure the halfway point, which is where we put the eye line. Once we have the eye line, we measure it out, and then we calculate and divide that eye line into 5 equal-sized segments, and that's going to be where the eyes will be placed. I'm just putting in the football shapes now, but we're going to have to adjust the shape later on. Then we draw, we measure from one edge of one eye to the edge of the other, and then we draw an equilateral triangle. Then once we have the triangle, we have to sketch in an arc, which is kind of like a half circle, and that will become our cheekbone. And in the bottom of the arc, we can kind of lightly pencil in where our mouth or the lips will go. Okay, just to place it, it doesn't have to be drawn right now, but we just want to know where it goes later on. Okay, and then we measure here and measure 1/3 of the way up, and that's going to be where our nose is, and we can pencil in where the eyebrows will be. And now that I know where the eyebrows and nose are, that will decide where the ears will go. So just kind of pencil in where they are. We're going to measure the eye, and we're drawing a man's face today, so I usually tell my students to make the nose the same width or even a bit bigger than the width of the eye. So I've got 3.3 millimeters, so I'll put it right here, 3.3. so the nose will be about this wide. It's a bit wider than it is in the woman's, and drawing a line from the middle of the eye line past the width of the nose, that will be used to verify that the mouth is the correct width as well. Using an eraser, you can just erase quite a few of these guidelines. This template is just used to determine the placement of all the facial features. These guidelines aren't meant to be seen after you're done drawing your face. I've already marked out the nose, where the bottom of the nose will be and how wide it's meant to be, and remember, I made it a little bit wider than the width of one eye. So drawing a man's nose is the same as a woman's. You can do it by drawing several U's. Okay, so 1 U, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that can be the man's nose. Okay, and if there's nostrils, you can always darken them in. Okay, the lips can be done next. I can do the M's, 1 M, 2, Second M's here. And then the W. The ears, remember you can pencil in 2 half hearts, connect them with a line, okay, and then you can erase the inside parts, so you're just left with the shape of the ear, and we just have to worry about the folds after. So here's one fold, goes around and under, back out, and then there's another fold here. So basically it's the same type of ear I did for the woman, and just make sure that it doesn't go above the eyebrow and it doesn't go under the nose. It has to be within this range here. So I'll do it with the other side as well. So basically I've done 2 ears. It's always good to just measure out and verify that the ears are somewhat symmetrical, and mine are pretty good but not perfect, but hopefully we can fix that later. The eyes, I've already penciled in the eyes, and so I can use my ruler and mark off the parts I'm going to trim with parallel lines, and then that will help me reshape the eyes so that they're a bit more natural looking, okay, because human eyes aren't shaped exactly like footballs. There's a little bit of angularity to it, so that's a bit better. Then I'll just use my eraser and clean off some of the extra lines that don't need to be there. So once I've got the eyes shape done, I will use a stencil, and you can borrow one or you can try it freehand as well, and I will draw in 2 circles, and these represent the iris. And again, make sure you draw the iris so that it's big enough that it extends past the eyelid. Okay, remember, you never ever see the person's full iris because 1/3 or 1/4 of it's underneath the eyelid. Then, using another stencil, I will pencil in, right in the middle of the iris, I'll pencil in a circle representing the pupil. And the pupil, I said, can vary in size, and so in bright light situations, the pupil shrinks, and then in dark situations, it expands. I've already filled in one pupil, and I'm just working on the second one, but remember that when you're filling in the pupil, it's a good idea to leave a part of it unfilled in, because that represents the reflection that occurs when light bounces off the moist surface of your eye. I've already finished the iris of one eye, and here I'm just adding those lines that radiate out from the middle. Remember, they're like the spokes of a bicycle, and they all point towards the center. And this is the part of your eye that, depending on your eye color, it can be different colors. It could be like blue, green, brown, gray. So try to space them out evenly, and they don't have to be too dark, but I'm making them dark enough so you can see them in the video. Bring out an eraser, and you can erase parts of the iris that extend past the eyelid, because that won't be visible. And you might notice that at this point the face might look a lot like a woman's face, okay, because I haven't really done anything to differentiate it from that of a man. So at this point we have a face that you can't really decide whether it's male or female. Erase the inside parts of both eyes, and you can add in tear ducts. you can add an upper eyelid fold, and you can also add a lower eyelid fold if that person has one. Some people do, some people don't. I'm going to erase a little bit of the guidelines for the eyebrows, and now I'm going to add in the hairs. So for men's eyebrows, the hair is often thicker and coarser. So you'll notice that as I'm drawing them, they are quite a lot bushier and thicker than we had them last day when we did the woman's eyebrows. I'm using longer hair, and I'm pressing a little bit harder with the pencil so that the hair comes out thicker and coarser. But you'll notice that I'm still drawing the hairs the same direction they are in real life. I'm not simply just filling it in and shading. I'm drawing each individual hair. That gives it some depth and volume like real hair has. Let's begin to make it a male. One of the most important things about males is they've got a very special jawline. So we can actually use a ruler and draw a line right here, like a horizontal line. Then here we can draw a second line. Here we draw a third line and make sure it's the same angle as the one we just made. And then finally we add a fourth and a fifth line here. Now the purpose of those 5 lines is those will help us reshape the man's jawline. So taking an eraser, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. And using those lines I drew, I'm basically going to darken in and smooth out the corners where the lines meet. And now the jawline should resemble that of a man's.